Good evening and welcome to the Mancunian Way, Thursday night. And yes, I know it's not the greatest night. I know there's everyone knows, obviously. Her Royal Majesty the Queen Elizabeth has sadly passed away. But yeah, and I know some people have cancelled streams tonight, but we want to try and get on and let people sort of respect in their own way, and we can put a smile on people's faces if they are feeling a little bit down. We've got Rich and we've got Vader. Good evening, Rich. Well, morning to you. How are you, mate?
Good morning. Yeah, I'm okay, thank you. I'm a bit tired today, but waking up and getting on with the Friday.
I haven't decided, TM. I have got the tweet. I haven't decided whether I'm going to put it on screen and even give it the airtime. I just don't want to. I don't want to bring a lot of things to it, but I haven't decided whether I should or I shouldn't mention that yet. He's gone down in a lot of City fans' estimations in the last 2 hours. Let's put it that way. Vader, how are you, mate? How's Canada?
I'm good. Canada's nice. Good weather. Unlike Rich, I'm dealing with a Thursday. He's in the future over there, starting his Friday. So
yeah,
it's I feel like I'm in a time warp.
It does,
but you
right?
In the future, you in the past, and me in the present. I like something like that, you know.
Yeah, it's only 4 PM over here.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, my apologies. I said Rich does get up at silly o'clock in the morning, so that's why there's a few minutes here and there. Not going to get any revenge game won't happen. We're going to talk about that, Ryan, because I'm not 100% on that. I mean, all right, then. Let's get into it then.
Yeah, you got to.
Is this game actually going to happen? Because I've looked at the fixture list. I don't know where you cannot cancel football for 10 days and then roll out a World Cup in November. Because I've looked at the fixture list, I can't find a spot for any of this to go in.
The only way it works is if you then make it even more congested. That's the only way postponing based off of the existing fixtures and how often they were to take place, then including the Champions League runs, to make it work, you're just going to have to stack everything on top of each other. And I don't see how it works. If they are going to choose to delay the portion of fixtures and Champions League fixtures to then say, no, they're not happening, we're going to put that on the back end, then you push everything back. But I don't see that fitting in the existing calendar. It doesn't work.
I think Ryan Corey's on about the Stockport game. I know that's been announced. That's off. Just check, Ryan. There's no Premier League games been called off so far.
Yeah, so when I first heard it, I first thought it was a joke, because I first learned of postponements through a group chat, and I was like, what? Why? I knew of the passing in respect to Queen Elizabeth and her passing, but I didn't think that it would impact, whether it was work life or sports or just society like that, with 10 days of shutdown. So I thought it was a joke to begin with, but then now learning that it is a point of recognition, mourning, reflection, I don't see it. It's unprecedented for what I've experienced in my lifetime. Like there's been moments where things have been postponed. If we want to go back and even think of 9/11 and things of that nature that have happened here in North America, like things do get delayed, but it's not at that magnitude. There's a point of reflection and recognition, and that often happens at the start of these matches. But a full 10 days.
It's the Champions League that's the issue. We're going to come to you, Rich, on this in a minute. It's the Champions League. I've had a look at the fixture list. There's no dates free. Go. The Champions League ends at the end of October. The group stage is the end of October, November, and then they're all going to the World Cup. You cannot stop the Champions League for 10 days and expect to get it back. There is no room. There's no room in the calendar. Unless I've missed something somewhere, Rich. Someone needs to tell me where the room is, because
Yeah, well, I think, all such plans and all such ways of reacting were mainly designed in a very different world, with a very different
Great
people.
point.
And I think because of the length of the Queen's reign, and therefore it's very, very different generations that are now alive than often were anticipated in the planning. The world has also changed in terms of how we mourn, how we deal with death, and how we deal with these things. And the world has very different views. I think what really is happening is, people need to be allowed to, people who feel strongly or people who feel differently will be allowed to, do things in their way. But I don't think, in today's world, with everything that's going on, just closing things down for 10 days becomes very viable, because the consequences will impact lives as well. So it won't necessarily have the best effect. But I think, it is a bit of a, it's an unprecedented situation in terms of the length of reign, but it's also unprecedented in the fact that the UK's got a new Prime Minister only a day or two before. And I think that puts in, some quite worrying, chances for people to try and tap in, politically on such a serious and what should be a very neutral event. So I don't know what will happen in the next few days, but I would be, a bit concerned about.
It has to be in the next day, Rich.
Yeah, but I'll be just a bit concerned about people using it, for other purposes. So, you would think that a 2-minute silence, across all the grounds, and actually something like that happening simultaneously and happening, in a big way, would actually be far more impactful and give people far more chance than actually postponing things and actually causing people to be spending their time doing differently. But there's also the reality that you have people who are very, very strong monarchists, but a lot of people, it's almost irrelevant in their lives. So it is a difficult situation.
Yeah,
I don't see, it doesn't seem realistic to me that you can shut down a country and a nation in today's world for 10 days. There's football, but there's schools and hospitals and
apparently schools are not shutting down. I can confirm that straight out the chute. Schools are not closing.
Yeah, and that's
before
just
anyone thinks that, it's not.
Yeah, it's just a totally different world that meets it. So yeah, and it's unprecedented. Even an old bugger like me was, my first memory was, actually my first memory was the 25th anniversary, so in 1977. So that just shows how long the Queen has been Queen.
Yeah, I mean, if they just postpone, Andy's put it, I do think you have to realise that the Queen's passing with that as respectfully as possible. Of course, I totally get that. Andy said, who's mentioned that, it's this weekend's game. I understand that, but there's talks of cancelling like cricket, talk about cancelling the whole test out at the moment. That looks like that could be gone completely over the weekend, not just Friday, but the whole weekend. I think the point Rich is trying to make is, Andy Blooming, is where do you stop when does it become not respectful? When is it respectful? And each person, that is an individual choice. It really is, because each person will look at things in a different way. I mean, from what I've read tonight, the reason why it's the 10 days, Beta was asking, by the way, is because on the 10th day is when the funeral will be. And it looks like that's going to be a Sunday, the 18th of September at the moment. Obviously, that could change. That will not then, that bank holiday will not, or the public day of mourning, it won't be a bank holiday, it'll be a public day of mourning, will not roll over to the Monday. So this is what I mean. It's not going to be, schools will not close. It's not closing and the world stops. I know it's sad and I get it. And listen, I'm with it. I put it on rest in peace. But you shut everything over the weekend.
Yeah, I think, even going back to what Rich is saying, I think it is going to be a difficult time. It's a unique time, for a person of such importance and such history to have passed. But when we talk about the impact on individuals or society, when a large part of that's kind of come to light and everyone's recognized it, especially with when things being shut down the past 2 years, is the mental health with regards to things and the mourning and the passing and how people deal with it. There's no surprise. Sports has been around for just that. It's an outlet. It's a chance to escape. It's a chance to kind of have balance, even when we think about our mental health. So when you look at how that can compound, and not just on football, but on the many other sports and things of entertainment that are probably going to get affected society-wise, I think it's going to have a huge impact. I'm curious to learn what their thinking is in terms of some of this decision making, because I think there might be more harm done because of the length of it with regards to some of this shutdown.
Andy Blooming's, but listen, I know Andy Blooming, you're not. I know you look, obviously, you sound like a real firm royalist, and that's brilliant, mate. I'm not saying that's bad or anything, but you just put there, it's up to the authorities to what is deemed appropriate. You've got to look at the whole situation. If they just do it for this, what we're trying to look at is from this is why some channels have not done anything.
Yeah, because of the conversation.
Yeah. All conversations have now changed. And what one person will deem as appropriate is not what another one is. You've got to look, and the reason why I do think you have to look at individually, Andy, is because each person has individual circumstances.
Yeah, I remember, Martin, a close friend and a close relative of a close friend got married on the day of Diana's funeral. And, my view at the time was, well, it was absolutely the right thing to do. You'd planned a wedding. It would cost you thousands to postpone. But I know that one, very close relative was absolutely livid. And this was Diana. This was someone who was, in the royal family, a very short time. But they were livid and thought the wedding should be cancelled and they should just, reorganize it for 3 months later. And, that was how they genuinely felt. But to me, that seemed totally unreasonable. And it is. And, we live in a world where, in Britain, there is there are many, many, many strong monarchists, but there are also tens of millions who are not, who are not monarchists, or, really, pay absolutely no attention to it. So it's hard, and it's generational, it's geographic, it's so different in so many ways. And so, I guess like anything, as individuals, all you can try and do is respect others and their views. And I actually think that some of the, stopping things and, closing shops and all that is probably dangerous at a time where Britain is going through
And
one
they're
of the
on the
biggest
verge of economic crisis.
Yeah, when people can't afford to eat or heat their homes, they can't afford to, to lose, their livelihood like that. And I think for Britain, it probably is a little bit of a dangerous time because you have a totally new prime minister. I won't make any comments on the prime minister, but a totally new prime minister. You have, the Queen's sad passing, but you have people suffering, and that is not a good combination. So I think calm heads, sensible choices, and respect is the only way.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I get what CM City's put, and I'm on it now, and that is talking about horse racing, cricket. All of that has been postponed. I agree, and I do get Andy Blue Moon's. I do get his point on it. That is all completely cancelled. The 2 games on Friday are now postponed, but United are playing right now. West Ham are playing right now. Everyone is playing right now. You're then at another point of, like it's put, I've just read it here on Twitter, is how long that goes for. And Andy Blooming is saying you go for as long as they deem necessary. I disagree with that, with all respect, Andy Blue Moon. But a simple fact is, I'll be honest, I have a sister who has additional needs. That country, she was a nightmare in COVID because of the situation. A shutdown for so many days can affect each person individually. And you know what? We've got to, I know people, yes, got to be proud, and I love it, and I get it. I mean, and you can see I'm saying it's UEFA. You postpone, because then you're going to have people on Wednesday and Tuesday postpone the Champions League game. But there is no room in the fixture list to play that game again. I've looked, there is physically no room to play any more Champions League games to get your group stages. I've literally been through the fixture list for an hour before we came on, looking. There is no space. There's nowhere to go with it. So that's probably why UEFA, I think, would have played tonight anyway. I just think it's got to be timed right. And I'm totally with you in respect of, I do think the weekend's games will be off. We will mention Tottenham preview in case it does go ahead. We will. Maybe not as in depth, but we'll go through it because the 90% chances it will be off. But then the question is how long do they stay off for?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they'll be able to.
Then that's the next question, isn't it?
But they won't be able to postpone Champions League games, I don't think. So, and for me, I'm not sure in today's world, personally, that cancelling actually really shows the respect, because that assumes a world where people would be staying at home and mourning, like the way people did for their own family and they did in the past. And honestly, I think a small fraction would do that. I actually think you make far more of a gesture nowadays in actually bringing people together and actually celebrating something. Like, I think an applause, and I'm not saying in this case it's appropriate because it would really not be what the royal family or older people would want, but things like some of the applauses to people when they die are actually far more powerful and far more potent than postponing something. So to me, bringing people together and actually stopping for 2 minutes in a silence and acknowledging it and everyone acknowledging it together is an infinitely more powerful symbol than people staying at home and watching Netflix or going about their business, which is probably what will happen the most.
That's what bothers me. I know Andy Blue, I know it's not a lockdown. I know that, but there's been talk of shutting schools, Andy Blue Moon. And that had to get stopped straight away because there was no school shutdown. There might be a day of it. We're not sure on that, but you know, it was all because they came out with this 10-day protocol. It's 10 days, and people were asking where would that go. Right. It's difficult where to gauge this because you want to say the right thing and don't want to offend in any way. Like, see, this is why I keep saying, I know Andy doesn't agree with it, but it's individuality. I've got 5 people in my house, and all of us have a different opinion on the royal family. Trust me.
Yeah.
Not all of us have the same opinion.
And in all fairness, those authorities that he's talking about, and the ones that are making the decision, they are to think of the masses. These decisions that are being made, the decision for 10 days or whatever it may be, it should be in reflection of the masses, of the population, not necessarily ceremonially for the passing, right? It needs to take an account of the nation, of the country. So yeah, it's I'm sure a lot's going to be said in the next 24 hours and discussed. So for what we,
I mean, it's sad, and like
you know, it will be a huge issue worldwide. I mean, the skeptic in me says that the only real king or queen in the world today in the West is the pound or the dollar or the euro, and you know, ultimately decisions will be made about money more than anything else, and I think that's probably sad but true. But this is something that will have consequences everywhere. It will, you know, in Canada and Australia, it will bring to the absolute front, certainly in Australia, you know, whether Australia, you know, remains with a monarchy, you know, that will be an inevitable conversation in the next week, and potentially big political changes here. You know, possibly I can't speak for Canada, but New Zealand the same. So this is something that's going to affect a lot of people in a lot of countries, and you know, and in many ways, you know, you prefer to look away from the political, and you know, whether you're in principle a monarchist or whether you're in principle a Republican, you know, ultimately, you know, here is someone who, you know, has given her life, and a very long life, to, you know, not to herself, you know, someone who has, whether you believe it's right or wrong, has given their life to something else and something they believed that was above them. And, you know, I think all you can try and do is look at the individual and show that respect for the 10 days. You know, and, you know, I suspect things may have to go ahead because logistically, financially, the impact on people may be, and, you know, just the economic impact from so many people who've suffered so much, you know, stopping again, it isn't going to be easy.
Do you know my point? And I know what Andy Blue Moon is saying, and I hope he's still here in the comments. Jack Lee, I'm not going to put that on the screen, mate, because time and the place, mate, and it ain't the time and it ain't the place for jokes. I know you're trying to lighten the mood, mate, but it's just not the time and the place. But here's my issue with it. You stop football, you stop all sport, but like you said, all the shops are open and everything else. Everyone's still going to go out shopping. People are not going to stay at home and mourn and not move. Some will. I'm not saying they won't. But if all the sport's off, a lot more people, you see the shops will be more packed. So does that not kind of defeat the object? To me, that takes away the whole purpose of cancelling out all the sport, where you'd get a bigger impact having thousands of people inside the ground applauding or doing a 2-minute silence for Her Majesty. That has a far bigger impact because that can go out globally on the TV than having 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 more thousand people putting their money in a till, which will happen, by the way. That's my issue behind all this, is to me, cancelling sport's fine, but then you need to cancel everything for the weekend. You can't just go all sports off.
Yeah.
Because what does that achieve? It achieves, and this is not me to get to a football match. I'm not going this weekend. This is not about, my whole point of it is, if you're going to send a message and you're going to be respectful, do it where it means something. To me, cancelling sport does not help, does not show the respect it deserves for Her Majesty, because everyone's just going to piss off and go shopping or go to the park or go to the cinema or whatever else. They're not going to stay at home crying. Sorry, maybe I'm wrong with that. I don't know. Tell me I'm wrong.
No, I think that's a fair point. I mean, again, a lot is going to be talked and debated, I think, in the next 24 hours, but taking a step back and looking at it from an awareness standpoint, a recognition standpoint, a moment of respect. I think if it is more so about, pardon the description, a overhanded moment of silence wherever you go at the same point within the day, within the country, I think that has more of an impact. We obviously over here in Canada have Memorial Day, and on the dot we have a moment of silence. No matter where you are in the country, it's recognized, and it serves its proper purpose. I don't know if you're still seeing things, not to change the subject too much, but the Rags are losing against Sociedad.
Yeah, we are going to move on. Like I said, it is to my point of where rest in peace to the Queen. And yeah, it is sad day. It is. And hopefully she'll be remembered for everything that she did. But sadly, some people will choose to go the opposite way. Anyway, right, okay, let's move then. I was going to bring up the Trevor Sinclair tweet, but I don't want to do it. I'm sorry, unless people want me to do it. Rich, Vader?
I haven't seen the Trevor Sinclair tweet, so
all right, I'll do it then.
Absolutely,
I'm going to have to do it then. I don't normally call people out, but I'm going to have to do it. Sorry.
Yeah.
I found the tweet so disgusting. Have you seen it, Vader?
No, but I could quickly find it.
I've got it up. I'm about to put it on the screen and I'll read it out. This is Trevor Sinclair, former Manchester City winger. So,
is it a thread or just one tweet?
No, one tweet. Racism was outlawed in England in the 60s and it's been allowed to thrive. So why should black and brown mourn? #Queen. That went out at 7:38 this evening.
Yeah, and I think there'll be many.
He's about to lose his job at HOTSPUR.
Yeah, there will be many around the world who do feel like that. I worry, yeah, and that's the truth, and there will be many, people who, I think this, could be up in Scotland. I worry about how certain groups of supporters will react to this because in many ways it's a sectarian that there are sectarian dislikes and there are many people incredibly angry with the British establishment. And people, and I would think holding the politicians responsible is more realistic, but there are many people who feel very strongly, and that is that's probably the sort of thing you put out without thinking, because the consequences of something like that and the meaning of something like that will get lost in it not being done properly, the point not being made sensibly, and he will be made the villain of the country. But that doesn't mean that there isn't going to be a lot of people who do feel like that about the British establishment and British colonialism, and the impacts of that around the world. You know, we see it in Australia where, you know, whole populations of the indigenous population were wiped out, you know, in the name of king and country. And so there will be people who, for strong historical reasons, feel differently. But as I said before, I think now's not the time for making, you know, those political points. I think anyone doing that will do far more harm to their point and their argument than they will do good. And it's time for showing respect to an individual. And I've always felt, you know, that however, and it may have been hard when Maggie Thatcher died, but, you know, unless it's a situation where, you know, a death is going to save tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of lives in a war or something, then, you know, it isn't a way, it isn't becoming behavior to, you know, celebrate individual tragedy. And, you know, that's just, you know, a basic bit of respect to other people, because we all have different political views. We all have different views on many things, and we need to fight for what's right hard. But there are ways to do things, and you know, that just sounds to me like an incredibly disrespectful and probably flippant way. And that is the world of tweets. That is the world of, you know, TikTok. You put things out in 30 seconds with no context, no understanding, no thought. There's no filter to stop you doing it, and people do stupid things, and that hurts some, and they hurt people through doing it. They hurt themselves, and most of all, they hurt their own argument.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I'm seeing this for the first time. With there's a timing with regards to things, and him having his point of view, the same thing. Whether it's all of these platforms, people are entitled to have them. That's why these platforms exist, so that you can share your point of view. For what he said, is he wrong for what he described? No. The abolishment of racism, or the fight against racism, and whether that's changed significant enough over the time frame that he's describing, we can all look at that and point to, he has a point. The time to place that at the feet of Queen Elizabeth on the day that she's died, that's where you do want to question why the tweet, why now. And again, but when you have the freedom to do it, you also have the freedom of the consequences. You have the freedom with regards to the reactions from others, and it's for him to own. I don't actually follow. No, I don't follow him, because I would have seen this tweet. So I don't follow.
I'll be honest with you, and we are going to move on from this, because like I know this has been a heavy 30 minutes, but it has been a unprecedented last few hours, especially in the UK. Let's be honest, what's happened today is something that probably whatever happened in your lifetime. There's a little bit of history, and sad, very sad piece of history. That's an amazing, 96 years old. Anyway, listen, I made my point clear. Put my tweet out. I've unfollowed him. I've not blocked him like a lot of Manchester City fans have. And he is going to be apparently TalkSport and others are going to be speaking to him, and he probably might lose his job, but we'll wait and see. Let's move on then. City and Spurs, if it does go ahead. Now, Manchester City and Spurs. Bogey team. Tottenham Hotspur have always come away with the "We Beat Manchester City" trophy. Is that a trophy that and do you know what really bothers me actually? I've seen City fans really get twitchy over this, to a point where it's must win. We've got to beat them. It's about time. Listen, I remember going. How long was it, Rich? We went not winning at Anfield until Anelka scored that beautiful winner.
Wasn't it the? Was it like something like the 50s and then 2000 and yeah.
So if you think going 6, 7, 8 years not beating Spurs is an issue. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
do you understand where they're coming from, Rich, on that? And then we'll come to me. Do you get why?
Well, do you know what? We have actually we've beaten Spurs a few times.
Yes.
It's because most teams, you know, there's very, very few teams who we haven't got a very good record against. And I think Spurs stands out not because we can't beat them, but because they do beat us, you know, an unnaturally high amount of times. And even compared to almost Liverpool, where, you know, we've drawn a lot of games against Liverpool. We haven't, in the league, we haven't had that many, that many defeats to Liverpool. But yeah, we've definitely, you know, we've had Spurs doing the double overs a couple of times. And there's been some big games, some huge games like the Champions League, losing that game, like the game that, was it 2011 where I think or 2010 where we missed out on the Champions League because of Spurs. So I think it's just been big games. Yeah, there's been a lot of those, but there's also been games where, you know, we've beaten them. I mean, you know, one game I actually flew back from Australia for was the game that actually, though we didn't know it on the day because we needed West Brom to do it the next day, we won 3-1 at Wembley and had an amazing, you know, Saturday night game and beating them. So we have actually beaten them as well. And
we beat them in cup finals.
Yeah. And we've beaten them in the Champions League. It just didn't count for anything.
Would you remember the League Cup final just after lockdown?
Yeah.
So was it Laporte who scored the winner? So, you know.
Yeah, we had the 4-3 comeback, the FA Cup. And I think it's all down to, you know, I think because of 1981, you know, which I do remember, you know, that's always added an element to this game for any older fan, any fan over, you know, 45 years old or whatever. That memory of 1981 is still fresh in the mind, and it makes this a bigger game. And I think that combined with some big games costing us Champions League, losing in a Champions League quarter-final, you know, doing a double over as last year when we were virtually unbeatable by everyone else. I think those things added together have made it seem like they beat us every single time we play, which, you know, isn't quite.
I'm going to give you a stat now to Rich, and out of the last 14 games we've played them, how many times do you think they've beaten us? Because everyone's thinking it's 13 times, 14 times.
No, I'm thinking it's about 6, but
nope, less than that, Rich.
Well, yeah,
really.
And that's
this is what I mean with this bogey analysis of Tottenham beat us every season. They actually don't.
Well, that's the point. But because they did a double overs last year, because they did a double overs last year, because they beat us in that Champions League game, because they beat us a couple of years ago, and they certainly beat us, you know, a few times. So, you know, it seems like it's a lot more than it is, and the reality is that, you know, I'm going back 11, 12 years for one of those defeats, which is probably 30 games ago with the amount we play them. And so it's definitely much better than we think, but they've been big games. They've been quite symbolic, and the games that matter, they seem to have beaten us in, you know, more often than not.
Let me give you, now I'm going back to 2017. Obviously there was a friendly, but there was 2017. We beat them 4-1 away. We beat them in April 2018. We beat them 3-1. We beat them 4-1 at home. We beat them 3-1 away at Wembley. Yeah. Then we then beat them 1-0 with the Mahrez goal. They then beat us in the Champions League. We beat them in the Champions League quarter-final, and then
we beat them a few days after. Only a few days after we beat them in the running.
With Foden's goal.
Yeah.
Then we drew with them. Then they beat us twice. Now, during the 1920 season, the 1920 and the 2020, they did beat us then. I'll give you that. Under Mourinho. But then we beat them in the league at the Etihad 3-0 with Rodri and Gundogan. And then we beat them in the League Cup final at Wembley. And then they did a double over us. So they've
So-
actually, I don't get this.
But here's the thing. I'll tell you what it is. I'll explain it. Because a lot of it has to do with recency. What Rich mentioned in terms of some of the times when we've been at the peak of our powers and we haven't gotten the results against them. That's what's weighing on many City fans. But it's also, and this is what I love about this age of football, is when rival fans, and we see it also with some of the Talk Sports and some of these other shows where they take such a specific section of time to use as a stat or to use as a comparison. A lot of what Spurs fans are doing are looking at the results in the new stadium. They're looking specifically with regards to them in the new stadium and the results that City have been able to have or not have. That's the confidence that they've gained. That's the push to say they're the bogey team. You don't beat us in our house, in our new stadium. So I think if you go back and look at that, it's not as favorable, but it's also the most recent thing to look at. I want us, and the same thing. I had the same expectation last year after suffering the 3 losses to Tommy Tuchel, who is no longer at Chelsea. But Tommy Tuchel at Chelsea beat us 3 times, right? 1 league, 1 cup run, and obviously in the Champions League. And what I wanted the following season was for Pep to write it. Let's show that he doesn't have our number anymore. And he did exactly that. So I think that it's on the calendar. It's on the bulletin board. I believe the players know the importance to actually, and the confidence that will be gained with a good performance against Spurs. And I don't expect any difference in terms of them figuring out the way to beat them.
At the end of the day, I mean, by the way, if you do find tonight in poor taste, I don't, I'm sorry, but we're all still going to go to work tomorrow. Everyone here is still going to go to work tomorrow.
Are there comments saying that this show's in poor taste?
Sadly, yeah, we've been told.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Hey, listen. They must be having a week off. I don't want to go into it. Listen, it's
Yeah. No.
It's their opinions. I said this at the beginning, and the guy who said it is a loyal subscriber and really backed myself personally, but he's decided, he's not happy about it tonight, so that's fine. I do respect it. Good evening, Sean. I just think there's a little bit of hysteria when it comes to Spurs. There's a big hysteria around it. I think we forget sometimes that it's 38 games in a season. How do we really sit here and think genuinely that Manchester City are genuinely going to pick up, 100 and... What is it? 3, 6, 9, 12, 6 up, 114 points in a season. Is this what we're thinking? Because I'm sorry, get your FIFA out here. I've got a copy of FIFA here. Get it out and have a game of that. Because you don't win every game on that every year. So, come on. I'm a bit, Rich, I'm baffled by all the hysteria and City better win, I don't get it. Is it me? Am I being naive? Who's got me on in the background? I'm echoing through.
No, it's not me. I think that's just the world we live in, unfortunately. Everything's about just the immediate news cycle. Everything's about today. And the reality is that the mess that football clubs get themselves in is so much just about dealing with today. It's why United are the mess they're in, because they've never actually stopped and done a long-term plan. They've never thought about being patient. Their owners have always, focused on, let's cut off the next lot of protests. We'll go and sign, a bunch of players who we haven't actually spent much time scouting, and, that'll solve the problem. Governments run policy for the next 24 hours, not for the next 25 years, which is why, we live in a planet that's, dying, and why, we're on the brink of war. across the world. It you know, unfortunately, the way the media, social media, and everything works has had some amazing positives, but it's just made everything just so dramatic. You know, honestly, I remember, you know, sit down and talk to my grandparents about living through World War II, and you know, they were more matter of fact about, you know, the Blitz and, you know, going off on fighter missions where, you know, 80% of the planes never came back and you lost, you know, 15 friends and colleagues in, you know, in a day. And they were more matter of fact and calm about that than people are hysterical about losing a football match today. And, you know, and the other thing is that nowadays nothing happens without reason. Someone always has to be blamed for everything, you know, and the reality is every human being's is, you know, is frail in a sense, has failures, has mistakes, and we're totally unforgiving. You know, you lose a game and the whole season's over. I mean, look at this season. We had a charity shield game, a friendly that doesn't matter. And after that, people are drawing conclusions that Erling Haaland is a busted flush. They're drawing conclusions that Nunes is going to be the best ever and Liverpool are going to win the quad this season. And it was a friendly. It was a game that City weren't even 3/4 fit for it. But people want to make news. They want to draw a headline. They want to draw conclusions on the back of very little things. They make tweets that are just nonsensical because that gets attention. And nowadays you get rewarded financially just for getting attention. You know, if you can pop up, you know, a YouTube video that causes a storm, you get attention, you get money. You know, there are billionaires.
This one.
Yeah, well, but you know, there's people. You know, you look on the, you know, the fabled outright. That is just people who have realized that by appealing to the basest things in human beings and by excusing any behavior and doing it in an attractive, loud voice, excited way, you can make millions and millions of dollars out of, you know, stupid people fundamentally. And it's like football.
With a fake name.
Yeah. And football's become the same. Every game, you know, there are some very reasoned people who make very reasoned tactical analysis about football, and you can agree or disagree. But every game now, if we don't win, Edison should get fired because he can't save you know.
Don't do it, Vader.
We need to get rid of our defenders. Rodri's plodry, you know, Haaland's written off because he misses one sitter in a friendly.
I still want to throw something back. I heard out of Rich's lips last night, but I'm not
doing
it.
It's just nonsense, and that's life.
I mean, perfect example is Liverpool FC were 2 games away, 90 minutes away from being the world's greatest ever team, to 2 months later, the manager's shit, FSG need to get out and don't spend, and Klopp's in 7th season syndrome. It's like, wow. Do you know what, as football fans, I'm going to be honest with you, we are fickle at times. We are bloody fickle at times. I've said this on your show, mate. It's human nature, mate. It's not to do with footballers. Human nature. That's what we're all like nowadays.
It's also, but where it gets really out of whack is when we as fans forget when we were players. It's like when we forget when we played, and I know it's not at the level of what the professionals are doing, but there are things that you just have to deal with as a human, as a player, and not everything goes according to plan. Sometimes you actually have to take a loss to actually become better, and you have to show grit, you have to show determination. There's so much that some of these fans just expect it to play out, and you make this joke often, Martin, about it needs to play out like a season in FIFA. It needs to, like, players need to be available, and the skills and the right decisions always need to be made. No, but the reason why we love this sport is because of all that drama. It is a soap opera on the pitch. That's why we watch it. It's amazing, and nothing's a foregone conclusion. When fans just expect things to go as they envision it in fantasy land, it's when things get out of whack.
two ways of looking at this. If tomorrow's Saturday, like, listen, we're presuming the game's going ahead, it more than likely won't for the reasons we know. If the game goes ahead and people are going must win, I understand that point if you're saying Tottenham a third. If you're going to use the argument they're level pegging with us on points, then yeah, I can kind of go into that ballpark. If we're going down the road, well, they beat us twice, I want revenge. Well, I'm sorry. I went to the pictures one time and saw the film and I thought it was going to be great. Turned out to be crap. I didn't get a refund at the end of the night. Come on. Look at it in a footballing aspect. So yes, City on 14 points. Spurs are on 14 points. They've got Conte, they've got Kane, they've got Son. They've got some very interesting players now. So beating them, yes, a must win to get that gap opened up. Or even to close the gap on Arsenal. But to say, because they beat us twice. No, come on. Mummy didn't buy me the McDonald's once, so I'm not speaking to her. You know, no, come on.
I think I do want to see how what Pep's approach is to how Conte does set up the Spurs against us. I want to think that we're not capable of beating them. I know better than that. Even the last loss we took to them, we knew there was a few brain farts on the pitch, which resulted in the outcome. But I just want to see us set up well. I love the fact when we come up against managers like Conte and the fact that he plays with the 3 or 5 at the back and how compact they may be, because I think those are the tests that I want to have early for City. I want Haaland to experience those as much as possible because I think that's what we're going to face during the most challenging times of the season upcoming. So bring it on. If the match happens, great. A must win. The season is in jeopardy if we don't. No, I'm not going that far, but I do want to see a fantastic approach because I think it just bodes well for the rest of the season.
Yeah. Anyway, right. Team news, because I know Rich only has 15 minutes and we still have another topic that I think me and Rich might dive into. So we will let Rich have a couple of minutes before he shoots, because we are going to come on to managers and a certain Mr. Potter. Not Harry, I'm not talking about Hogwarts. Team news, after Sunday, after Tuesday, Rich. Is there anyone who deserves to stay in that team? I'm echoing. Someone's got me on somewhere.
No, it's not me. Now, listen,
I'm muted over here.
I've got quite strong opinions on this weekend and the team. First and foremost, you know, I'm assuming that Stones and Walker aren't available. I don't know if that's the case, but on that assumption, I think first and foremost, Akanji has to start. We have to have one pacey defender. And I also think we cannot start Gomez and Cancelo as the 2 fullbacks. So I'm pretty strong in the view that we need to start, we need to figure out how we get 3 of our 3 central defenders in the team. So, Stones was fit. I'd be playing Stones right back with Diaz and Akanji in the middle, and then Cancelo at left back. If Stones isn't fit, then I might be tempted to go with Cancelo at right back and Ake at left back, because I think we need 3 out and out defenders so when Cancelo goes into midfield, I think we need to have 3 top defenders there. And for me, Diaz and Akanji has to be centre backs, and then I'd rather have Stones than Ake because I think he's a bit quicker and he's better at launching the attacks. But I would be playing one of those 2 with Cancelo, most likely, possibly Gomez, as the kind of more attacking fullback. I think it is absolutely critical in midfield because I felt very strongly and always have that if we play Rodri, De Bruyne and Gundogan together in midfield, we do not play well. We do not have the energy and the pace. So, you know, in many ways, I think Rodri needs a rest. And if I was going to do it, actually, Spurs is the sort of game Phillips would be better with his energy, his pressing, and all that to disrupt Kane. I don't think Pep will do that in a million years in a game so important. I suspect we might see Phillips.
I'm going to throw you a curveball
on Wednesday. So for me, we probably could start Phillips, but we'll start Rodri, and then it has to be Bernardo, and we then have to make a decision about whether you know, De Bruyne goes into the front three potentially, or you know, Gundogan or De Bruyne gets a rest, because you know, I think if Rodri plays, Bernardo has to play in midfield, and that leaves you one space for De Bruyne and Gundogan. I think Alvarez should play. I think we need his energy, and I think, you know, for me, it would be Alvarez, Foden, and Haaland, and we would be, you know, it's almost toss a coin. I'd almost be putting, you know, it sounds like sacrilege, but on the form this season, I'd almost be tempted to go Gundogan ahead of De Bruyne, but I suspect we'll go De Bruyne ahead of Gundogan. But, you know, who knows? Pep may decide, as we all, you know, we lost to Spurs twice last season, he'll go with a 3-man defence, and we'll have, you know, Bernardo right wing back and Cancelo left wing back, and something bizarre. But we've got to have pace and defence. We've got to have 3 of our best defenders, and we've got to have energy in midfield. So those 3 things need to happen, whichever team gets picked. Okay. So you're going to throw something at me now, Martin. It's not going to be the double pivot, is it?
I'm thinking Rodri and Phillips.
Yeah, I think.
How did you know I was doing that? Because I'm not the only one who said it so far.
That, to be honest, I think it won't happen.
Phones out the room.
I think we might see Phillips and Rodri together in games, but I think Phillips will play the Bernardo role. I don't think he'll play the Rodri role. I think we've been a team who for 2 seasons has based everything on 5 top quality attacking midfielders. We've taken out Haaland, and that's taken us to 4 high quality attacking midfielders. If we play a double pivot, we go down to 3. And I
I'll explain why.
Yeah, and I think that's too much for us to cope with.
Spurs beat us last season?
Spurs beat us last season because we left Harry Kane with 25 yards of space around.
Okay, exactly. Right. Point number one. There's point number 1.
Someone needs to
didn't man mark up. We left spaces all over. We let Kulasevich, whatever he's go on. Yeah, hello. Him. Yeah, that guy he signed last year. We allowed him the freedom of the air yard. We give Harry Kane the freedom of the air yard. We were done by balls over the top.
Yeah.
Over the top. You play. Now, listen, when I say the double pivot, I don't mean Rodri stood next to Phillips holding hands. Talking one in front, one behind.
Yeah.
So you shut down these options. You play a Kanji for his pace.
Yeah, but then you shut down our entire attacking. Our strength.
Rich, I get that. But if you dare to play inverted fullbacks against Spurs, we will get rinsed.
Yeah. And so for me, it's about playing the way we play and not weakening our attacking game, but by playing personnel where possible who have energy and pace. And that means Akanji has to play, because with Walker out, he is our main pace in defence. You know, we have to play Bernardo. I mean, you know, maybe if I was doing the team, I might start a midfield, you know, that, you know, try Phillips, Bernardo and De Bruyne or something like that, because then you've got that real energy. I mean, and I base this on the fact, you know, I rate Rodri. I think Rodri is an absolutely fantastic player, but we're going to have to rest Rodri every 3rd game through September and October. So what you do is, you know, you look at those games and you think, which are the games where passing, possession, quality, attacking football, dominating the game are going to be our strength, and which are the games where we need someone who's going to do some kicking, some running around, some hassling, some harrying and energy. And we pick the games where we need that energy, and they're the games we give Phillips a start, and perhaps rest Bernardo in those games so that we're not having to risk having a midfield with 3 slower, less intense players. So we just have to make that call. Now, for me, Dortmund and some of the other Premier League games coming up soon are made for Rodri. So if you're going to rest Rodri, bring Phillips in for Spurs.
What about Mahrez? But a beta. Anything Richard said there that you like now don't agree with? Before Rich jumps in, Rich has got about 7 minutes. So here's your chance to rip his team apart. Tell him you're not having it.
It's even better if he does that when I'm gone, because I can't.
You got nothing to say, exactly. No, I wouldn't do that to you. Defensively, I'm in total agreement. I think that back four that he described, I'm right there with him. I think we all go crazy. We all rack our brains trying to figure out what Pep may do in the midfield. And I think because Pep actually rested KDB against not Forest. He rested him. He came on as a sub late in the game, I think in the 70th minute, and we were already up, I think 5-0 or whatever it may be. So I think KDB starts. I think Rodri may get the rotation and sit out of this one. I do believe that Phillips could actually show his start in this match with KDB.
Rodri's played every game, Anna.
He has.
So far.
He has. And
this could be the rest time.
I think
he cannot be overplayed. We blew up our season 2 years ago for overplaying Rodri, and we have.
All right, you changed your mind on a double pivot. So,
so I think
I'm no good in an argument.
Hey, no, that's fine. That's fine.
I've given up already. And Richie's sat there going, "That's what no effort."
Yeah, I worry that the double pivot will be something that Pep will try for the first time in an absolutely huge game like a Champions League semi or a Champions League final, because he usually seems to experiment at the craziest times. So that's my big way. But, for me, I want that to be available so that when we're a goal or two up at Real Madrid with 20 minutes to go, we can go maybe double pivot and, really see out a game properly. But I certainly wouldn't be using it early. I wouldn't be using it in a game we want to go and win, and we will win a game by playing to our strengths. And that's the
Does Wednesday night play in any significant way?
Not for me, because I find that the Champions League group stage is just like, I wouldn't be disappointed if we sent the kids to Dortmund, because that's the least important game.
Rich, we're not in Dortmund, bro. I hope you're not going to Dortmund, mate.
Versus Dortmund,
yeah. Well, I'm not going anyway. Okay, but for me, okay, it's probably a bit more important then. But for me, the Champions League group stage is a tedious thing that will win the group, and that's going to happen inevitably. So, to me, Spurs is 100 times more important than Dortmund.
Mahrez.
Yeah.
Someone talk to me, because I've got a feeling Riyad Mahrez, as much as people are arguing in the chat, especially Amwara, is really going on about Alvarez. He hasn't played Alvarez. He hasn't really played Mahrez. No. Mahrez is sort of on the fringe at the moment. So someone's, unless he does what he did against, this is the problem with Pep. I can't ever decide. Does Mahrez deserve a start, or can anyone see Mahrez starting on that right-hand side on Saturday? I'm presuming that if the game goes ahead, before anyone puts under here with watching back, the game won't go ahead. We kind of know.
For me, the wide players have to be 2 from 3, and that's Alvarez and Foden And then potentially the other option is if we decide to play Bernardo or De Bruyne or someone in that position, because we want a bit more control, and even then I'd only do that if Phillips was maybe starting, and then you go with Gundogan and De Bruyne in front of Phillips, and we decide we want to play Bernardo across from Foden or across from Alvarez.
Later.
I see Mahrez on the right, and I think it's purely rotational. I think Pep isn't necessarily looking to drop players, or he has to protect Alvarez. Alvarez had, I think he played the most out of all of our players last year because of what he did over at River Plate. So, and I think
he's had no rest yet.
So I think he's going to, and again, the rest is you're not starting. I'm bringing you on in moments. I'm going to have you play, get acclimated, but no, you're not starting. I think that's how he's protecting Alvarez. I think Mahrez is out there on that right side. I think he obviously needs to show. I think there's a lot that he needs to prove to Pep, because I would say that he's probably one of the least names that Pep's probably looking to put out there. But he does get the start, I think, for this game. And then on the left, because of what we even kind of talked about, there's the movement, I think there's also the synergy between player and Holland. I think Foden goes out there on that left. I think Foden's out there on the left, Holland's in the middle, Mahrez on the right, and KDB, Phillips, and dare I say Gundogan are making up that 11. Pep's shown that he's making the subs when he needs to, so I wouldn't even be surprised if a sub was made at the 60th minute. But that's the 11 that I'm kind of envisioning.
Anyway, I need to apologise. I do have to jump. I have my first meeting today, so I guess my final thing will be, I actually think that this is the game for City to turn up like we did against Chelsea last year and really kickstart the season with incredible intensity. So I actually think we might might go and win a tight game. I think 2-0 or something like that. So I think today's the day, or tomorrow's the day, if the game goes ahead, that we really kickstart our season and we really show what we are.
I'm just checking, because apparently people are saying the game's already been now called off. There's now other rumours saying it's called off till October. There's others saying it's called off for 2 weeks. I don't know. I'm trying to find confirmation of it all.
I think that the Premier League, probably.
I think people are. Listen, I understand that
I don't think the Champions League games will be off. I think that will be something that I actually think UEFA might force any English clubs to forfeit if they try to do that, because I don't think that will be allowed for in the rules. I don't think it's a decision that can be made on behalf of Dortmund and the other European clubs, and I don't think it's fair on the two English clubs, or the British clubs I should say, who are at home next week. So I suspect they will have to go ahead. As for the I guess they can just play it in May next year, after the season's ended or something. I mean, it's crazy, and that's because the whole premise of a World Cup mid-season is crazy and ridiculous and shouldn't be happening. So anyway, goodbye, and speak again soon, Martin.
Take care. Cheers, Rick. Like I said, the reason why we are doing this preview is because there was no guarantees it was 100% off, and I'm away for the weekend, so we wanted to get something in the can ready just in case. I know people are saying it's off, and like SOS and Patrick saying it's off. We don't know until tomorrow. I'm not going to go back into it because I've already got myself in trouble with some people. They're not happy with me, which is fair enough. That's up to them. But at the end of the day, the next question will be how long do you shut football down for?
Martin, can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question? I don't mean for this to actually come across insensitive, but would there be a negative view on yourself for a Canadian of myself having the show and you being a part of it? Is it because you being English and taking and running the show yourself is the poor taste, or if I were to have a show as a Canadian and invited you?
No, I don't think it's you. I don't know what it is. I did think about cancelling it, but at the time, and listen, are people not going in work tomorrow?
Mm-hmm.
No, it's a genuine question. People still have to go to work tomorrow. People, I said this earlier on, if you are going to cancel games, or sport, fine. But then you need to close cinemas. You need to close golfing events. I mean, for like driving ranges. You need to close bowling alleys.
But let me stop you there, Martin. Let me stop you there, Martin, because the thing is, yes, the umbrella is sport, but it's also, these are livelihoods for those that work these events, right? So I don't know if a cancellation then means those people that work the concessions or work the tickets or whatever it may be, the ushers and everything that happens within the stadium, do they still get paid? Is that still, does that all still happen? I don't know, but there's an insensitivity with regards to that, because there are livelihoods that still do continue and they may be postponed with negative impact on individuals. So
I get that, mate.
Yeah.
I get it. And I understand. Royal Mail strike has been called off tomorrow, so everyone's back in work. Schools are open tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Shops are open tomorrow. But this is my point. I know what Patrick's saying, and it's everyone's choice. I appreciate that, mate, and thank you for the support. And everyone else, CM City, thank you for the support. I'm just saying is, if you're going to cancel sport down for the weekend, then I don't want to see thousands of people in the Trafford Centre shopping. I don't want to see people in the Arndale, which is a big thing in here, shopping. Because if you're closing it down out of respect, then you should have been out having fun. Should I be allowed to go and have a weekend away with my family in Blackpool? Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
For respect, then everything should be shut this weekend for respect.
Yeah. Yep.
You're half-arsing it for me.
And those that are in the comments and sharing your point of view, I hope everyone recognizes that, sharing your points of view and having the conversation is what's important here. I'm going to be in disagreement. I actually think that things can continue on, but you can show respect within it. You can have a point of reflection within the day several times throughout the week, or in this case 10 days, to continuously pay respects in different aspects of it.
I just think it loses its effect later.
Yeah.
Listen, I think it's a great thing to turn around and go, do you know what? All sports cancelled. Brilliant. But then people are going to piss off and go and watch a film at the cinema.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So does no one see the double standards behind that?
Yeah.
Or would it have been better to play the game and have a 2-minute thing of applause?
Yeah.
2 minutes, whatever. Because you know what? We're all going to have to come back Tuesday and Wednesday and play football.
Mm-hmm.
Because they won't cancel the Champions League because there is no dates to rearrange the Champions League.
Yeah, there's a finite amount of spots,
dates.
And it's not possible. Exactly.
It ends at the end of October. The group stages finish in October, and then we all piss off to a World Cup for 2 months.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what ends up happening.
My thoughts and my prayers are with Her Majesty, the Queen's family, and I am sad. Trust me now, it is a sad day, especially as an Englishman. And yourself, mate, as a member of the Commonwealth.
Mm-hmm.
I understand the whole situation. But this is why they've said, everyone, I read earlier on, everyone thought they were having 10 days off. Like, what?
Yeah.
What? do you know what I mean? Anyway. Right, let's move on to our final topic. We're not going to drag on too long, because I know Anyway,
No, it's all good.
managerial merry-go-round. Tuchel is out, which may I add, by the way, everyone go back. I'm not trying to blow my own smoke up my own ass here, but 3 months ago I said Tuchel will be one of the first managers by out of this place. Because
Right.
new owner, 9 times out of 10 generally means new manager. So anyway, Tuchel gone. Graham Potter is in. I'm not surprised Graham Potter's got a job at a top club. I'm surprised it's there. Because out of all the basket cases of a club at the moment in the top table part is Chelsea. New owner, brand new players, and they've literally had a game of darts for their transfers this year. They've put a load of names. They've literally played player bingo.
Yeah.
They've literally just bought anybody they could.
Drawing names out of a hat. Yeah.
They've literally opened up all the newspapers and gone, oh, they've been linked with them. Let's us stick a bid in. It literally, it's like their new owner's been playing FIFA. It really is. Is one, watching a Tuchel sacking, did it surprise you? And number two, is Potter in danger of ruining his reputation he's built up by going to where he's gone?
Yes and yes.
I know that's a part question.
No, it's yes and yes. The surprise of Tuchel's firing was there. I woke up in the morning and saw, and I was like, "What?" And then obviously double checked on Chelsea's Twitter page and saw that it happened, and I was like, "Okay." I thought obviously the Champions League loss is painful. It's bad because obviously you would look at Chelsea and think that that's a game that they should handle. Their start to the season isn't the best, but I think the part of it where you're like, give this manager that you would think has the opportunity to right the ship and get things working again, would be give him more matches. You've obviously invested in players to change what everyone know Chelsea to be. So it's a new group of players. They have to gel together. But you'd think he would be given time despite the result. I think what didn't help Tuchel is the style, the type of football that he was playing. It was not attractive at all. And obviously the unattractive football was not giving results. So that's a problem. Then on top of that, you mentioned it, because he's not the manager that the owner picked, right? He's part of the old regime that he was already fighting an uphill battle, because he's got to show the new owner.
Might use anyone?
Yeah. You got to show the new owner, hey, you want to keep me here because I'm for it. But everything that he's shown to the start of the season was not panning out and was not in good favor. I think Chelsea's, even though it's a new owner, I think Chelsea's DNA still came through here. The impatience with regards to the start of the season and the poor results was so quick. And I think the fan base, they may have been surprised, but it's in them. It's in them for a manager not to perform to get the sack. And I was just surprised because I thought he would have been given a little more time. 1 game in the Champions League and 6 games in the league.
So what you're saying is, new owner, same tactic.
Yes. New owner, same tactic. It's supposed to be different. They're talking about sustainability. And this now leads me to Potter, which a lot of the communication is they've made this investment in Potter, this decision, because they do have long-term plans. They do have a sustainable plan that they're looking for. I think this is all spin. I think it's all.
Well, I've read, Vader, he wanted Potter when he bought Chelsea. Potter was the guy he wanted.
Which is cool. He could have wanted him to before anything even got kicked off. Couldn't have happened because obviously he was at Brighton. But the fan base doesn't change. The fan base and what they know for managers to be there and be gone, that's what they know. So if Potter comes through and again he has a slow start, I don't think there's now a new transformation with Chelsea fan base to show patience. I think because it's in their DNA. Their 20 years or whatever of success and what they've been doing under the former ownership has been like this. What I think the lifespan for a manager is 3 years, maybe Like on average, it might even be less than that. So
Is that in the Premier League? Or are you talking Chelsea?
I'm talking Chelsea.
I wouldn't even say it's 3 years.
Exactly right.
Did you say 3 years?
I think
I'd
I was
probably
being
say
kind.
average. I'd probably go 18 months.
So
I mean,
this is the thing. Yeah.
Some of like, I mean, because if you average it,
Mhm.
Tuchel's what lasted
A year and a half.
18 months.
Yeah.
They'll call it 2 years. We're going to be generous. They have basically sacked 2 managers at Chelsea. I know it's under a different owner. They won the Champions League twice. Right,
Yeah.
here's the shock. They've sacked both of those managers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Manchester City fans, when we sit there in spaces or in shows, and they go, "You ain't where's your Champions League?" Just go, yeah, because we don't just we're not that club. We're built different.
Mm-hmm.
We're a special club with a special fan base. We ain't here for the glory. We're here for the blue blood and the love. And I'm not. Now, by the way, that's not trying to be a smart ass saying the blue blood and today all day. Before anyone does say that, someone will pick that up in the comments.
Yeah, they'll take it the wrong way. I think, but to your point, and when you hear some of this criticism, like, "Oh, you're not a big club because you don't have that ruthless, quick to fire managers," that's nonsense.
Yeah,
Like, don't even pay attention to that.
Chelsea fans need to know their history.
Now, when you were talking about, is it a good move for Potter? I don't believe so. It's like when the opportunity presents itself, it's almost maybe better to wait and see. I think if Potter had aspirations to go to Chelsea because of Chelsea's DNA, he didn't have to think that he wouldn't get this opportunity jokingly in 18 months or in 2 years. I think it would present itself again if that's really where he wants to go. I think there's not enough stability at Chelsea. There's not enough there. I'll continue on. I'll be 1 second.
Yeah. I put this up by Anthony. One reason we're not going to mention this because me and Beta was mentioning this on. By the way, if you're not subscribed to Beta Games, please go over and give Beta Games a follow. I'm going to stick his links down in the description below. If you could be so kind, and I know you're the Mancunian Way family, you're the Mancunian Way community, you will subscribe to Beta because I know you have that. You're them kind of people who are loving, helpful, and supportive. Please go and give Beta a follow. He's a very knowledgeable fan. Very, very knowledgeable. Yes, he is from Canada, but we're a global fan base now. The Mancunian Way was set up to bring everyone together, home and abroad. That's what we're doing. Beta is an absolute diamond of a find to get in on this channel. Obviously, Patrick's been in. Go and give Patrick a follow as well. And obviously, Gondalorian Carl, go and give Pitch Points a follow. Big Steve, Stephen, City Extra, all the City families, MCFC lads, give everyone a follow. The City fan base needs to stand together because we're built different. We're wired different. We do it for love. But Anthony, long story short, mate, we are going to do a stream on this at some point. The reason we're not tonight is because we've only got about minutes left maximum. And then I want to get out and I've got to go and see my as well soon. So yes, Anthony, we will come back to that, mate. Vader's just gone for he's just gone to brush his teeth. I don't know. I don't know what he's doing. I'm guessing. Totally guessing what he's doing at the moment. Cooking, seeing his kids. I don't know. Respect to Vader. Here's my thing on Potter before he gets back. I love Graham Potter. I've been an advocate for Graham Potter on this channel for 12 months. Love his football. Anyone who watched the 20 show, you know, when we did the Premier League review on Sundays, I really backed Graham Potter. Going to Chelsea, though, scares me. Because I hope that Graham Potter doesn't damage his reputation. Because it's a big rise in him. It's a historic rise. he's gone from, was it Osterlands? Whatever that team was in Norway, wherever it was. Where was it?
Before Swansea.
Yeah. The team that beat Arsenal in the UEFA Cup at Emirates. That's not a dig, by the way. Someone will remind me of the name of the team. Then he went to Swansea, ended up at Brighton, done an amazing job. I would have liked him at Manchester City. That's another show, another day, another time.
Yeah.
But
because he's at Chelsea, though, he's no longer possible for a City.
I wouldn't say that. I would say
Okay.
it all depends. Because the only thing I'd say, will he be at Chelsea long? Will he still be at Chelsea when Pep goes?
Okay. That's why I don't think it's a good decision for him to go now, because I don't think he lasts.
The only thing is, I do like it though. I said it in my news in 10 today. When do we give young, hungry managers the chance? Why do we all? Why when you get a top job, it's all the same names.
Mm-hmm.
Right, wrong.
But yeah, no, you're right. But the problem is,
so how does anyone else new come in?
Well, you're supposed to. The way it's been playing out so far is you're supposed to make your way, quote unquote, through the lesser clubs, right? So, no disrespect to any of the managers as of now, but you see Patrick Vieira and where he's got to go to make his way through. You look at even with regards to Potter and Brighton and now getting to Chelsea. I think you have to show that you can do your thing at those clubs first, because it is a very different battle when you get to these big clubs.
But it's always Poch. It's always Poch. It's always Enrique. It's always Mourinho. Yeah. It's the same. It's the same rhetoric that comes out.
Yeah.
You've got and you know what? I mean, Patrick's put experience matters. I get that. But Jose Mourinho, if he hadn't been given a chance by Porto, and I don't mean Barcelona, Bobby Robson, the late great Sir Bobby Robson, saw something great in Jose Mourinho. He was an awful footballer. Not very good at all.
Mm-hmm.
Went in, coached under Bobby, went to Porto, won the Champions League. He didn't have experience with big players. He coached at Barcelona for a bit. Arsene Wenger had not really had a lot. Had been in Japan for crying out loud. So I'm sorry, I really am. Is it experience, or are we in England stuck in this rhetoric of has to be a name? It's like a player. If Phil Foden was called Philip Fadinho, it'd be on like the biggest. It'd be on a biggest praise course than anybody else because he's called Phil Foden.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Pep was just a B team manager. Imagine if Barcelona had never took the chance on him.
Yeah, but that's just it. I think the unfortunate part is
Tyrone Douglas. Hello, how are you? All my old subscribers are appearing tonight.
Oh,
please,
nice.
if you could, I'm glad. You know what? I'm so glad you've all found me. We've been doing this for a year. Please hit that subscribe button and a thumbs up. Please, that'd be amazing. Thank you, Tyrone. Aren't there? They're all coming in tonight. Thank you.
I think it's the problem of I have this high profile big club. Who am I going to give the keys to? Am I going to give the keys to a person that just graduated from driving school, or am I going to give it to someone that I've seen drive in race cars before? Like
driving race cars.
No.
Where are you on here? Hang on a minute. Vader's on the Indy 500 here. I don't know why he's on here.
It's the level of trust that's being handed over. I just don't. I think that's where we're at. Less owners are taking those chances on unproven new talent, and that's why these
is the money too big? This is what I'm saying. Is it too much of a gamble and risk now?
No, you know what the funny part is, because because the money is so big, you think that you having the right scouting, or you taking the right doing your right homework, you can afford to take these chances because you've seen their track record on what they mean as a manager, what they mean as a motivator, because it's the leading of men that you're really looking to acquire here. You're looking for someone that can actually communicate to a group of men and have them do what you ask. Losing the locker room, all that means is these players don't trust you, don't respect you, or don't believe in what you have to say. So that's the thing that you're trying to look for, and it's hard to actually say I know that this person can do it if they haven't done it before. I don't think it's
Okay,
right. I don't think it's right, but it is how things play out.
let's look at the Champions League then. As much as everyone goes, say, yeah, man, never won it, never won it. Not a lot of managers have won the Champions League.
Mhm. Well, Pep today
One do have.
just say you lose more in the Champions League than you actually win.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, listen, Frank Lampard did the right thing. He went to Derby County. He learned, built up. I think he made too much of a jump to Chelsea. I always think there's a pecking system.
But he was
I
successful
think
at
you go
Chelsea. But Chelsea
Was
DNA,
it?
they saw
Was he
he was.
successful at Chelsea?
He won Champions League group stage. He got them to the knockout.
Mhm.
They were faulting a little bit in the league, and they were like, let's get in Tuchel. But it's the Chelsea DNA on why they didn't wait to see whether he could write it or not. They saw a bad spell,
Do you
got
not
him out
think
the
they
door.
kept him because of the transfer ban?
They took him and said, do what you have. We're limited transfer ban, but he had success with young players and actually righted the wrong of what they had to deal with. But as soon as there was a chink in the armor, they didn't let him fight through it. They gave him the axe. Fast forward, Tuchel, yes, his success winning the Champions League. He slipped his way into the top four these last 2 years. He didn't get into the top four with any type of control. They were faltering to end the season the last 2 years. Now, chink in the armor again, Chelsea DNA, you're out of here. Let's start again.
See,
I
you and
think the
Pat's
same's going to happen for Potter.
really well.
Say that
He's
again.
done well in the Champions League. Did he?
He-
Really? I'm not
He
I'm
did.
not sure
I think he
what
won
to
his
call
group. I think he's won his group.
it, right?
Yeah,
For a team like Chelsea, mate,
with the kids.
with all due
kids,
respect,
though.
mate, they should be winning the group.
They had the kids, though. They had the kids.
No, they had some kids. They still had. Listen, right? Let's get the rhetoric on this just a little bit. When I mean by kids, Chelsea had still spent about 800 billion before they had one season of a transfer. They still had world-class players in there. Listen, I'm not stupid enough. It is a lot of managers could come in at City and win a group in the Champions League with the right group. I'm not this. When I say when people go, he did well in the Champions League, I want to say semis, quarters, finals, consistently. Then I can go right. It's like the York City manager getting a really good run in the FA Cup and going, yeah, he's a great manager. It's a cup competition.
Yeah, but Martin, that speaks to not even giving him time. That speaks to
no, I don't think the plan was to ever give him time. I think the plan was you're a bridge because we're in stuck now. What's he doing at Everton?
Well, if that is the case, then I actually look on his stint at Chelsea as more of a resume building than actually a slight for him.
Derby County, he failed with probably the biggest budget in that league at the time, which is why they were in such a financial mess. He should have got them out of the Championship. 100% should have had Derby out of the Championship.
Okay.
Absolutely. With the budget he had, the players he had, everything, he should have got them out. He didn't.
What's the manager now doing?
Who, Derby?
Yeah.
They're a different team. That's what I'm saying. If you look back, they've been in administration now, they are. because of the money Lampard got.
Okay.
Because of the money Lampard
But
was
he's
allowed.
I don't want to go. I don't want to be defending Lampard because
No, I know you. Listen, this is not a slag Lampard off. My whole point is what I'm trying to say is going back to the whole point is that are we always going to get the same names for the same big jobs? And I just think it's refreshing to see a Graham Potter being given that chance, being given that opportunity.
Yeah.
I just feel Chelsea's the wrong club
Yes.
because it could ruin his reputation.
I agree.
If he was going to a City, if he was going to a Liverpool, if he was going to a Newcastle, if he was going to an Everton, if he was going to an Arsenal, absolutely, I could see him success. West Ham. He's going to Chelsea. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No time, no chance, no hope.
I don't like it. And
I'm just worried. You don't see many managers discard when they come out of Chelsea.
If he spends more than 2 years at Chelsea, he's blocked from coming to City, right? What's the threshold? I'm putting you on the spot, Martin. What's the threshold of time spent at Chelsea where you would still consider
3
him?
years.
Okay,
I think Pep stays at City 3 more years.
Yeah, but what?
I think Pep gets to the 10-year mark.
Pep does 10 at City, and as long as Potter doesn't do more than 3 at Chelsea, he has the doors open for him to come to City.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I've missed loads of comments, and I do apologise. 2 shots to cover Lampard's team. He did. But that was after Lampard had wasted 250 million. He wasted 200 million, mate. who brought in what's he called? Name's gonna have
Werner, Havertz.
Who brought in Werner? Who brought in Kai Havertz? I know someone's gonna put Abramovich bought them. This is also the problem at Chelsea, by the way. I'm not, maybe I am being a bit harsh in the transfers because maybe Abramovich bought them. Guardiola, 32 chosen 14 years and he's still young. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's when you give someone a chance. Mourinho a chance. Wenger a chance.
Mm-hmm.
Ferguson was on the verge of the sack. Mark Robbins saved him his job with the winning goal. Or was it a drawing goal? But he scored a goal. Saved him his job. The rest is history.
Yeah.
He was on the verge of the sack at the Swamp. I just don't think managers get him anymore. It tells you something. Who are the 2 longest reigning managers in the Premier League right now?
2 longest. It's the 2 clubs that are at the top, or that have been at the top recently, right? It's us with Pep.
City and United, City and Liverpool.
And Liverpool with Klopp, yeah. Yeah.
Is that a coincidence?
No, I'm a firm believer that you need consistency and you need to, because there's something that also gets missed in terms of what individuals, and in this case managers, what managers acquire when they work through a failure, when they work through a challenge, when they work through a setback. Like there's just things that you then develop to be able to be even better at what you do. And to say you made a mistake, you're out the door, that does not work. I want City to win.
This is what every
that'd be jokes. That would be jokes.
Well, that's what we all said. Win it, shit in the cup and leave it in the middle of the pitch and block off.
Right.
He finished 8th, and 5th.
Mm-hmm.
For Chelsea, that is shocking.
No, I think that's Arteta. I think that's in
Arteta.
Yeah.
Oh, he's Arteta.
Yeah.
I want to find you. Right, you've got me thing now. Lampard under Chelsea. Right, this is your.
We're going off on a tangent right now.
Yeah, we are. Lampard, Chelsea stint. There we go. It's going to bring up the bloody player stuff. Managerial.
My point with Potter, and I think he's shown that he is a good manager, and as also his approach to football, I think bodes well. If you're thinking of what the fans can get behind, if you think of the attractiveness of of how the club will play, I think that's really good. I At the same time, I hate that he's going to Chelsea because I think despite how good he is and despite how good Tuchel was, it's just not going to be a good fit at Chelsea. I think it is
No,
I think it's too much of a short term, and I don't think it's actually going to strengthen his resume, unfortunately.
no, I'm with you. And I mean, I wish him all the best because I love him. By the way, just on Frank Lampard, is Patrick still in the chat? Worst
What'd you
points to
find?
game ratio ever under Roman Abramovich.
Worst points to game ratio. Okay.
He had the
But
second worst.
what about
percentage.
win ratio? What
Win
about
ratio was 49%. Second worst under Roberto Di Matteo had a bigger win ratio than him.
okay? And he did that during
He's trying on the Lampard
he
train.
did that during a sanctioned run. So
No, they weren't sanctioned. They only sanctioned for one window, 1 year.
yeah, but he had to play without really having the strength of squad
Well,
that he would
Avram
have
Grant
wanted.
got 69%, Neil 66, Conte 67, Carlo Ancelotti was 63, Benitez was 58, Scolari 56, Gus Hiddink 53, Maurizio Sarri was 55, Claudio Reyna 52, Roberto Di Matteo 52, Andre Villas-Boas was the worst at 48%, and then Lampard came in second at 49%.
Again, impatience, not giving him a chance to maybe increase that percentage. That's been Chelsea, man. Look at the number of managers that you described that you mentioned.
Listen, me and Veta are only having a bit of banter at the minute before anyone goes, why is Martin trying to put no? It's a bit of banter, mate. Listen, I wish him all the best. I just think it's the wrong club.
Yeah.
And I think he may regret leaving a good club in Brighton, a good club under Tony Bloom, a good owner who will stand by his manager and get the best prices for his players, as we saw in the summer with the Cucurella. But it's his hill to die on now. He's got to make it. Because do you know the biggest surprise is here? There's no transfer window.
Yeah. I've heard a little bit of these conspiracy theories, like Chelsea was already looking to bring in players that he wanted. And
yeah, you heard that. It's like Cucurella went there because of this, that, and the other. It's like the same thing you heard about. We didn't get Cucurella because they wanted Alvarez, and
yeah,
I've heard it all. So
now I will say this before you kind of change gears, or
we'll be wrapping up, mate.
Okay.
Potter get in trouble for staying on too long.
Fair enough. But Potter brought over, I hope I read this correctly, he brought over pretty much his entire coaching staff. So that's
the
actually...
last time I heard, and this was before we went live, they were on the verge of agreeing a compensation package for his backroom staff.
Okay. If he's
I'm
able
not
to
sure
do that,
if that's now been done.
It increases his chances of success. If he's bringing in his trusted crew in terms of how, and to do his practice of
The only thing I'll
coaching.
say is he's never managed big players in terms of, and when I mean big players, I mean big egos.
Yeah, yeah.
And there is enough big egos in that Chelsea dressing room now for him to deal with.
I'm going to say this, Martin, and I have several Chelsea frenemies, so I'll be real with you.
Frenemies.
What they've said so many times is, oh, Tuchel didn't have his players. Tuchel didn't have his players. Da 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 da. The fact that you fire a manager every 18 months, how would you expect any manager to have his players? That's going to require 3, maybe 4 transfer windows. That doesn't even compute. Chelsea fans, I hate the fact that you're now going to use that same damn excuse. Now Potter doesn't have his players for another year or 2 years. It's tired, and you guys are going to do it again. It's tired. Quality players on the squad and them not happen to be yours isn't an excuse. You have a Conte, yeah, he's not yours, or you have in this case you're going to have Cucurella, or you're going to have Mendy. Yeah, those players aren't yours or aren't his, but they're still high quality players. You can't then slate them and then give him an excuse. They're not his. It's nonsense.
No, I do get that. I do get that. It's a good point. I suppose that's what makes you a manager, though. But saying that, Pep Guardiola's first season, that wasn't his team, and we just scraped fourth.
Yeah, but he didn't even wipe out all 11 or 14 players the next season to get 100 points to accomplish that.
Virtually did.
No, he didn't.
Got us a whole back line, new goalkeeper.
New goalkeeper.
Whole new back line.
No, not a whole. Otamendi was
Walker,
still there.
Mendy. Because we got Sanya went, Kolarov went, Zabaleta stayed, but he was Sanya, Kolarov, Hart went.
Delph was
brought Bravo in. Bravo went. Who else was there? There was loads. He did get rid of John Stones come in. He did spend some money in that season.
He did, but it wasn't.
We spent 50 million each on two fullbacks.
Yeah, but because we had aged fullbacks. But at the same point,
no, I know
it's
what you mean.
It's like arguing, oh, Silva wasn't mine, De Bruyne wasn't mine, Yaya wasn't mine. Like, it's a manager's challenged to make do with what he has. And yes, he can bring in his own ingredients, but you have to work with both. The excuse to be like, some of those players aren't his, that's why he can be afforded to lose or not play the attractive football or whatever, run his system. No, a manager is to step up and make players that are his or not his at that time work. And Chelsea fans fall on that excuse way too much, and they have the luxury of doing it because there's always a manager fired every 2 years. I heard one Chelsea fan talk about, oh, and we still have who was it?
At Chelsea?
Yeah, I don't know. Some Chelsea player that was even...
Glenn Hoddle?
No.
A lot of Chelsea fans wouldn't know who Glenn Hoddle was.
The manager before Lampard was Conte?
Before Lampard?
It was Conte, wasn't it?
Yeah. They have a Goose Hiddington in about 4 different spells.
I heard Chelsea fans argue that some players at Chelsea right now were Conte's players, but you fired managers every 2 years or a year and a half.
Do you know what people need to realise at Chelsea is no players have been the manager's players. They've always been the owner's players.
There we go.
Roman Abramovich was the guy who buys. This owner, Mr. Boland,
Todd Bowley, yeah.
He bought the players.
He better get a director of football.
Tuchel is a coach. Basically, they're running with a DOF, director of football. But they're running.
They better get one.
They're not. Tuchel's not sat there and gone, yeah, get me Cucurella, get me a Bamian, get me. He's not sat doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, they were even going after Romeo Lavia on deadline day. This is how desperate. They even went looking at Douglas Luiz as well. This is how desperate Chelsea got.
Yeah.
If the owner was a kid in a sweet shop with his daddy's credit card and going wild. And sadly, that's the thing at Chelsea. You're not a manager. You are a coach.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a big difference between a coach and a manager.
Yeah.
Mason Mount was the next big thing. Where's he now? Jorginho was the biggest, greatest thing. Where's he now?
Great point.
So, Kai Havertz, 80, 90 million pound superstar from Bayer Leverkusen or wherever he came from. My God, thank God we didn't buy him because he is crap.
Yeah. Trash.
So, sorry. Nah, not having it. Anyway, we could sit here and go all night.
It's true.
Leighton just does that to you. He's an amazing guest. to sit and have on. I just want to say a big thank you to him for coming on this evening. Thank you so much, mate.
It was fun, man. You, Rich, talking City, talking some of the extras. Good convo, and definitely enjoyed the time, man.
Yeah. Can I just say to everyone in the chat, and while I'm on air, listen, have your opinion, but please calm down. It's going a little bit too, you're having to go at people who are just, it's when people talk about family, it's about City family, the Manchester City family. We're not a fan base, we're a family. We look after each other here. Big thank you to Tyrone Douglas and to Anthony for finding me tonight from the old channel, Man City Man TV. Big thank you to them. If also Andy Blue Moon, like I say, apologies, mate, if you didn't like the stream, and it's your personal opinion. I hope you come back. Hope you don't take any of it personally. Big thank you to Sean, Anthony, Tyrone, Alec, Man City for life. Why are you not in bed? Man City for life, bed. I can do that. That's my son. Sean Clinton, Alec Johnson. Everyone's going, why is he shouting at a subscriber telling him to go to bed?
Yeah, that's kind of wild until you gave context.
Yeah. CM Sitter, I mean, Jack Lee. There was loads on. I make sure I haven't forgotten anyone. Charlie. Charlie, are you back from Tenerife now, mate? Patrick from True City Fan, go and give his channel a view and a subscribe. Footballer Chills and True City Fan. Going to get Patrick back on, and we need to get Carl on as well, because I want him and Rich to do a financial show.
That'd be amazing.
At some point, I'll let the two powerhouses of finance go at it. Mingy Wong, thank you very much. We need to get through this little thing. So big thank everyone. Please give it a thumbs up. We have smashed over the 700 subscriber mark in the last few days. I'm just trying to see the live count now. We're about 705 subscribers. Big thank you to you all. We are trying to get to 1,000 as quickly as we can. As quick as we get there, the bigger the channel it goes for you. Please give it a thumbs up. It takes seconds, but does help the channel. The more people who like it, the more people see it. Meaning the more people subscribe, the bigger your channel. It's not my channel. It's not Rich's, it's not Ozzy's. It's your channel. Yeah?
Yeah, and I gotta stress this. Definitely hit the subscribe, because I've noticed that when you hit the subscribe and you get the notifications, you're better notified of it than if you happen to just follow it and hit the notification, right? So subscribe and hit that bell, and you'll definitely get those notifications on when the lives happen or when new videos are posted from the Mancunian way.
And also, don't be scared of leaving a comment, because interaction helps the channel, basically. Not just in the live comments, on the comment section afterwards. That it is me, personally, only me. There's been about 3,000 comments, 5,000 comments on this channel underneath. It's me who's answered every single one. So don't forget, by the way, give it a like. Thank you very much. I know it's sad time. Again, thoughts and prayers are with the royal family. You know, I congratulate. I wish King Charles the very best in his new role as king, and it is sad. Obviously, the Queen has just passed today. But yeah, sadly, we do. We'll have our thoughts. Obviously, there won't be anything over the weekend now, because I'm away. I'm going away for the weekend, so I won't be back till Sunday. So if there's no game, there'll be no post match. Obviously, don't forget the City News in 10 is a Monday to Friday, so don't look for it over the weekend. It's only going to be Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. with 10-minute quick little tidbits. Join us on that as well. No, Andy's not on this channel with us, mate. Andy's gone back to work and saw everything else. So anyway, but big thank you to all. Take care, and we'll see you on the next one. I'll see you tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. for the City News in 10. Take care. And the City, yeah, we'll just see what happens. Take care.